I've lived in Germany for, I think it's now 28 years. So originally British, and I've been here, nearly half my life now. And for me, my perception of being British has changed in that time because Britain has completely changed in my perception. Maybe it hasn't, but in my perception, it's really changed over that time. So what is it for both of you what does it mean being British?
Oh, God. Fucking weight around your ankle, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose every country is the same for its citizens. There are gripes and you feel like it's Groundhog Day, wherever you are, I guess. And, I would imagine corruption is present everywhere, in the same kind of way. It probably comes out in different ways, you know what I mean? But
well, you say that corruption is present, but isn't it? There's, when you're away from Britain, you really see Britain as a class-based society, which is, in essence, from a feudal
that's
society.
Interesting. Yeah.
You see it completely. You start to see it completely differently, or I did. I can only say my. So, and a class-based society, in a sense, I don't know how you can ever change it. So I just wondered, because you write so much about British politics, and it's clear the unhappiness with how society runs in Britain. But how can it be changed?
Well, I don't think it can it? Unless there's some miraculous overall. But I don't think there will be. The public are stunted. They've been conditioned into not overthrowing things. It's been like that for centuries, There have been times where it's probably gone the other way, but that's usually been spearheaded by somebody at the forefront, Cromwell, etc. You know what I mean? But even that went pear-shaped. So I don't think the idea of revolution is going to work, or the overhaul of a system, because what has got to replace it is another system run by human beings. We are a chaotic breed, so chaos will ensure wherever we are. And I'd like to think that the class system will eventually die out another 100 years, 50 years, 100 years, God knows. But in its place will still be human governance. And, we need to get to a place where we're not using distraction methods such as capitalism or fascism. And we try to work on our Achilles heels, which is weakness, hatred, bitterness, whatever, I don't think these things will change overnight. So the class system's here for a long time, I would imagine. But there's also something about, there's a lot of Stockholm syndrome in each of us, we kind of bizarrely love our captors, or we bizarrely, like myself, like moaning about them, whilst conforming to the rules of society.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we just all move to Germany? But which is a great idea. We just don't seem to do it.
No, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, what's fascinating is, I sort of mentioned to a few people that I was interviewing you today, and Germans, and they obviously know your music, but also they really understand the politics in your music and see it as relating to Germany as well, which really surprised me. Yeah. But it
doesn't really. There's a massive far right presence, and it's growing in your country, in Germany, isn't it? So it doesn't surprise me in some respects.
During the early 80s, I would spend, half my life on things like the Miners' March, obviously the gay marches, the march against the poll tax, things like that. And there seemed to be a wealth of young people, when I was young people who were interested in politics in some way. And then by the late 80s, it seemed that music had moved away from being really politicized, and that young people had moved away from it. And I remember going back, I don't know when it was, 2015 or 2016, whenever that Brexit the Brexit marches were. So I flew back to England to go on those marches because I was invested, obviously, in that, although I lived in another country. So why do you think that, or really, what do you think you can achieve through your music and lyrics politically long term when it does seem that things ebb and move and people lose interest at some point?
We're not looking to achieve anything with it, just telling people, or not even telling people, just saying. It's not a mandate type thing. I don't believe that music can shift a whole audience's mindset, but I'm just reporting on it lyrically. You know what I mean? That's it.
Maybe it can. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I was just thinking about, like, you had little things. I mean, even like the dance music era. It did. Site parties, illegal site parties, and all that sort of thing. That was kind of quite massive. And like they quashed that by taking the figureheads and giving them shows on BBC radio. True. Yeah. You've got to try, haven't you? I think. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's surprising that we've managed to get as far as we have initially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think anything is worth having a go, isn't it?
Yeah.
You never know, and it's down to the individual. Everything's down to the individual to be a bit more aware, a bit more. I don't want to say woke because it's a clack,
Well, it's right. It's been used as a derogatory term, or rather, just another deflection. But I think woke is the idea, isn't it? It's like
it is, isn't it?
It's got to be that. Because if it's not, then you're just being ignorant and you're not helping. Things need to change, because if they don't, people are, the things that are affecting people that need to change. If they're not changed, then these people are still going to be hurt. So you need to change. And boom.
I mean, one thing that can be changed is your own personal sphere, your own sort of bubble, and when it comes to things like ticket prices, when you look at the big American stars when they go on tour, their ticket prices are just so phenomenally ridiculous that no regular person, and I don't mean even someone who's really on the breadline, but no regular person at all can afford that anymore. So how much are you aware of that, and how much do you sort of try and make sure that people that can't afford to go to a concert can in some way come and see you perform live?
We've always tried to keep the price down, haven't we?
Yeah, I think the price has gone up about £5, probably £10 since we started, and I'm including buying fees in with that as well. I think the handlers' fees or whatever. But yes, our manager and bookers always keep the price at a realistic level. It helps that we haven't got a massive back line. We're not trailing around a band or music or instruments. We do have a lighting show, but only for selected gigs. So it's easy. It's not easy, but we can afford to keep the tickets at a reasonable price, but I understand that some bands can't. But yes, I agree. £1,000 to go and see someone's just taking the piss. I think, given the way things are and how money is devalued or valued, £120 to go and see someone at an arena, I think that's reasonable. It's a fucking arena, and you know, it's not 1998 anymore. You know what I mean? But anything past 200, 250, it's just a bit. I don't know. You know, it just depends, doesn't it? Because you've got, and I'm not trying to justify it for them, but as you know, when you see what these people have to fork out for, I guess, lighting shows, catering, support bands, if they've got a massive fucking show, you know, if they want to put on this spectacle of entertainment, I suppose it needs paying for, but it's a tough one. I think £1,000.
What the show is, though.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's £1,000 just takes a piss for anything, though. Really.
Yeah,
it just does. You know.
Yeah.
And Andrew, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, just the same, really. You know, if it's just four blokes on the stage playing guitars, then
it's
it
like,
didn't really cost that much money. Do you know what I mean?
no, and you know, kind of like meeting them and paying extra is, yeah, it's just.
So what do you put in your stage rider that is different to other bands?
Don't really have anything much, do we?
Don't have anything, no.
Is it not true that you say that it's only vegan food for everyone? And
well, no, I'm the vegan, so
yeah.
But I mean, even so, it's like, you know, it's a bit of fruit. I mean,
yeah.
Sometimes if we're touring a lot, you know, you don't get a chance to eat. So as long as like there's some, you know, vegan stuff, you can put in some bread. Like hummus or something. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah, you know, it's